Good morning everyone, it's Colleen here from atouchofashion.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make my recipe for sourdough brownies. This is an easy recipe. I would say it's good for beginners. I mean, I'm a beginner myself. I've only been doing this for a few months. So I'm going to be using this sourdough starter to make my brown bread today. And this sourdough starter looks a lot different than it did yesterday when I pulled it out of the refrigerator. It had been in the fridge for several weeks and it had a nice layer of hooch on top. So if you'd like to see what I did with that, then go check out that video. So this is what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna mix up my bread and I will show you how I do that. Okay, so we're going to start by placing 3 1/4 cups of warm water into a bowl. You can microwave it to warm it up a little bit and that should be fine. Now we're going to place 1 whole cup of sourdough starter into the bowl. My written recipe on the blog says 3/4 cup, but you can really do it either way. Next, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 2 tablespoons of honey. Okay, so now we're going to add 5 cups of flour. I'm using ground whole wheat flour that I do myself in the grain mill. Now we're going to add 1/3 cup plus 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. And now you're going to stir until it is all incorporated really well, because if you don't mix this up well enough, you'll end up with little pieces of light colored dough that just didn't get all of the cocoa mixed into it, and so you won't have a nice uniform dark brown color when you bake it. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't get all mixed together, but do try to get it all mixed up really well. Okay, so this is what it looks like before it has risen. So now I'm just placing it on the counter and putting a little bit of a cover on it just so that it will still get some air, and I'm gonna leave this for 10 hours to rise. Well, hello everyone. It has been about 10 hours since I set my dough out to rise, so it has been sitting out on my counter all day long. So I'm getting ready to preheat my oven and go ahead and coat my loaf pans with some coconut oil. And then I'm going to take my sourdough dough and I'm just going to scoop it into these 2 pans and try to get them as even as I can. If they're not exact, that's totally fine. So once I do that, then they will be ready to go in the oven. So once the oven's preheated, I'll stick them in the oven and let them bake. Okay, so let's see what this dough looks like after rising for about 10 hours. Okay, there we go. You should be able to see how much this has risen since this morning. So I am just going to take this, I'm going to take a spoon, a large spoon, and scoop this into my loaf pans that I just greased with coconut oil, so these are all ready and good to go. Okay, so this is what they look like after I have put the dough into the pans. So you can see, since this is not a recipe that you knead with your hands, it's just a mix and pour type of recipe, this is not gonna have like a nice smooth top because it's not stiff enough to be able to just pick up and handle. So you're just scooping it out or pouring it out, however you wanna do it, into your pans. So this is what they look like right now. And then I'm going to bake them and I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Okay, so now my bread has baked for 50 minutes, so I'm just going to take it out of the oven and remove it from the pans and place it onto a cooling rack so it can sit for a little while and cool down enough for me to be able to cut it. Alright, so my bread has been sitting for around a half hour at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and slice it. Now it's still warm at this point, so if you decided to make this bread, let's say for dinner, then you might want to time it to where it has about 30 minutes to sit before you're ready to serve dinner, so that this is still warm when you want to eat it, but it's cool enough for you to be able to slice it. So about 30 minutes is probably good if you want to make this for a meal. Okay, so that's all for now. Once you have gotten your bread all sliced up and it is cooled down completely, go ahead and place it in an airtight container or just in like a zippy bag or something like that. And then what I will probably do is leave one loaf out fresh for us to eat and then freeze the other one. And I'll probably go ahead and slice the loaf that I'm going to freeze because that just makes it so much easier when you don't have to worry about letting the bread thaw out and slicing it after it's been in the freezer. It's just already done for you. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and make sure to press that subscribe button to make sure you see more videos like this in the future. Bye.